Hello and welcome to another episode of Countdown to Opening Day. I'm the voice of the Bisons, Pat Malacaro, and I hope you've had a chance to check out our previous episodes where we get you set for the Bisons opener against the Iowa Cubs on April the 5th. This week we check in with one of the Bisons' most consistent pitchers down the stretch last season, a veteran who was very familiar to many of you in the past. Casey Lawrence came up through the Blue Jays organization as a professional, made his major league debut with Toronto a couple of years ago, and in 2021 signed with the Blue Jays organization and joined the Bisons in Trenton early on in the season last year. And after going to the bullpen and then going to New Hampshire to be stretched out into a full-time starter once again, Casey Lawrence was as consistent as a pitcher for the Bisons when they returned home to downtown Buffalo. So I had a chance to catch up with Casey down in Dunedin as he gets ready for the 2022 season, talk a little bit about last year, what helped him develop his pitches along the way, and what he's looking forward to this year. I hope you enjoy our chat. Casey, first of all, glad to see you again. Thanks for taking a few minutes here with us today. How has the offseason and spring training now starting been going for you?
It's been going really well. Just a great group of guys. Just a good opportunity to get down here, get in front of coaches. I got down here about 2 weeks early too, so it's nice to get down here and get jump started and rolling and making sure we're ready to go for the season here.
Can you take me back to maybe the start of the offseason or the end of last season? Were you thinking about potentially coming back to the Blue Jays organization, and what were those conversations maybe like as you looked at your options?
Yeah, I think it was something where it was a little bit more aggressive this year and from both sides, I guess, to come back and it's one of those things where I've been lucky enough to play this game for a while now, and when a situation is good, you don't want to run away from it, and it was a situation last year where, coming back to Toronto, it felt right, it felt good, and a lot of the changes I was able to make there with the staff, with Jeff and David Howe, it just cemented my thought process and that I wanted to, if they were to have me back, I wanted to come back. So it was a pretty easy decision. I came down here in October and threw in the lab, and it just kind of sped up the process, and we were able to get a deal done and get going.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about what you worked on last year, because I know you had mentioned previously David Howell had been such a big help to you and the analytical side of things. What types of things did you work on with David and Jeff Weir, the Bison's pitching coach last year, to help you make you successful in 2021?
It was funny. The first day, really that I signed, I was on a phone call with Gil Kim, and he said, "Hey, I want to let you know you're going to have a really young, knowledgeable second pitching coach that's going to be in Buffalo." And David Howe, he's like, utilize him because he's an absolute fantastic asset to the organization. And so, really, from day one, I remember just sitting down with him and picking his brain, and just really seeing what he was about, what his values were, and what they were trying to do along with the process of changing the way some of the pitching things have been going, not only for me but for everybody else. So it was just, it wasn't anything dramatic or a huge adjustment. It was just some slight adjustments in my pitch usage, and really just, fine tuning a couple things along the lines of being a little bit more aggressive in certain counts and really attacking guys. I always had the ability to, throw strikes, and, when I got in trouble, it was really when I was nitpicking the zone and trying to be too fine, and just being able to really believe in my stuff and be very, very aggressive over the middle part of the plate. And with all the new data and analytics that are going on in the game, it's just another tool to really sit down and, show you and really be an affirmation of, hey, this stuff works. Getting ahead in the count, it's not new in baseball. But when you sit there and go, hey, 87% of the time, if you throw the ball over the harder of the plate, something good's going to happen for the pitcher. Like, that hits a little bit differently. So just really trusting and believing in that was really a big step for me.
And how has that evolved from the time you began your professional career to now? And I feel like just in the last 3 to 5 years, all of this data and all the developments in technology have really started to come to a head.
Right. I think it's something that has been around now for a while, but I think the battle was really how to use it and how to approach the player with it. Because, if you're talking about a lot of these numbers and stuff with a 18, 19, 20-year-old, sometimes that can become too much for that kid. So, as I've grown in the game and as the game has grown and evolved as well, I think Toronto has done an unbelievable job of pairing coaches together, where you have Jeff Ware and David Howe, and they're fantastic in certain areas. And when you pair them together, it's just the best of both worlds. So I think it's just really a testament to the type of people that they have in the organization, their willingness to work together, and then being able to then apply it and pass it down to the player is enormous.
And I have to think that players notice that when David and Jeff work so well together and are able to marry a lot of those different philosophies and bring them into now 2021 into 2022. And maybe we saw a lot of that in the success of the team last year and how well the pitching staff did.
I think you're 100% right. From a player standpoint, the first thing that you look at is, are you getting results from it? Is it working? Can you see it happening in the game? And sometimes it's tough to see based on certain numbers. When I first signed and came back to Buffalo last year, like certain numbers like my ERA and things weren't showing very well early in the season. And having those sit downs and conversations with David, and it was like, listen, just keep trusting in it, keep believing in it. It's going to turn. Certain data points are showing better than what you're actually getting credit for in the ERA department or those quote unquote old school numbers. So it's one of those things where I think just again being able to apply it to each player individually and really allowing them to work on certain things that can help themselves and not kind of putting everybody in a basket and going, okay, everybody's going to do this. So I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job, and it's an absolute pleasure to come to work and work with all these guys because they're all extremely knowledgeable in every area.
And as we look ahead to 2022, what are some of the things maybe you're working on in spring training now to get you ready for the season? What gets you most excited about, this time of year with your being in Dunedin and what's to come?
Well, I think just the excitement down here with the new complex, really me being down here and seeing the old complex years ago and seeing the new player development complex, it's unbelievable what you can get done from an individual and team aspect and preparing for the season. So every day when you come in here, you have an unbelievable opportunity to come in here and get better each and every day. And I think that's been my goal from day one is just, try to get 1% better at something. And that's going to just continue to carry over an avalanche into the season. So as far as me, it's just, really getting built up now as, being a starting pitcher, getting my pitches in, getting stretched out. And I think that was always important for me to get down here a little bit early, get jump started early. That way I was jumping into camp pretty strong.
Well, Casey, I appreciate you joining us, taking a few minutes today. Sorry I can't see you in person in Dunedin, but hopefully see you again very soon.
Yeah, we're excited to get up there to Buffalo and excited to get this next season started.
Thanks again to Casey for joining us today from Dunedin. Hope you enjoyed our chat and looking forward to seeing Casey in downtown Buffalo in 2022 if he's not with the big club instead. Don't forget, you can check in our previous chats, including our one with Ben Wagner last week. You can find that at bisons.com. Also, search us on Apple Podcasts and the Power Rally Podcast, where you can find all of our extended conversations there. Until next time, I'm Pat Malacaro. Thanks for joining us.